Regular meeting of the San Rafael City Council. Today is Monday, November 20th. I'll request the Deputy City Clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Bushy.
Present.
Councilmember Hill is absent. Councilmember Kurtz.
Present.
Vice Mayor Yorns Galati.
Present.
Mayor Kate.
Present, thank you. We met in closed session. I'll invite the City Attorney Epstein to report out.
Thank you, Mayor Kate. No reportable action was taken in closed session this evening.
Thank you. So my opening remarks tonight are going to be brief, and they're going to focus on gratitude, as this is one of the weeks of the year where we especially are attuned to what we are thankful for. So on behalf of the council and myself, I'll share the thanks and gratitude that we have. We are grateful to our incredible staff and first responders who keep our city safe and running so beautifully every single day. We are grateful for our volunteers who serve on our boards and commissions. You all are the epitome of what is best about our city, as you generously give your time to the betterment of us all. We're grateful to you, our residents, who care deeply about San Rafael and, like us, want it to be the best it can be and are willing to engage with the city in partnership to make that happen. And if you've attended a previous council meeting, you know that we acknowledge and are grateful for those who came before. And as we say in our land acknowledgement, we thank the original caretakers of this land. San Rafael is traditionally home to the Coast Miwok people, many of whom today are tribal citizens of the Federated Indians of Great Rancheria. And we honor their involvement in stewardship practices that benefit us all. So with a note on gratitude, I will turn to this Deputy City Clerk. Thank you for being here. And you can describe how people can participate in tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Kate. This meeting tonight is being recorded and streamed live to YouTube, and members of the public can watch through Zoom or listen in by calling 669-444-9171 using the meeting ID 860-6190-5675#. If you experience technical difficulties, please email city.clerk@cityofsanrafael.org. In regard to public comment in the chambers, displayed on the podium and the projector is a 2-minute timer to help you stay within the 2-minute time frame. You're invited, though not required, to introduce yourself and say what part of San Rafael you reside in, or if from outside of San Rafael. We are offering closed captioning for this evening's meeting on Zoom, Select the live transcript button on Zoom to enable this feature.
Thank you so much. We'll start with our city manager and council member reports, and I'm delighted that Assistant City Manager Robinson Pignon is here to give the city manager report. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm sharing this city manager report. Oh, sorry. Oh. All right. I'm sharing the city manager's report on behalf of City Manager Christina Lilovich, and we have some exciting upcoming events in our community, along with some important reminders. So with that, I'll start with the Holiday Lights in Wonderland, which will take place on November 25th from noon to 6 p.m. There will be a marketplace, human snow globe, ornament craft table, and much more. The holiday tree lighting will also take place during the event at City Plaza at 5:30 p.m. Up next, we have the San Rafael Fire Foundation's Crab Feed on December 9th. It's happening at the San Rafael Community Center, located at 618 B Street at 5 p.m. This is your chance to enjoy an all-you-can-eat crab fest and support our firefighters. Individual tickets and tables for groups are available to purchase at the San Rafael Firefoundation.org. We also have a giant menorah, lighting and gelt drop on December 10th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in downtown San Rafael with music, dancing, and of course, menorah lighting. The next item we have is the Lighted Boat Parade, which is taking place on December 16th at 6 p.m. That event will take place at the San Rafael Canal. Suggested viewing areas include behind the Montecito Shopping Center, Point San Pedro Road and 3rd Street, and Yacht Club Drive. There's also a holiday season parking announcement to make holiday shopping a little easier. Starting November 25th, community members can enjoy 3 hours of free parking at all city-owned lots and garages. Just remember, on-street meters will still require payment during weekdays. And close to last, we have the B Street two-way conversion. B Street has been converted from a one-way to a two-way street between 5th Avenue and 2nd Street, mirroring the successful 2020 transformation of C and D streets. Be alerted to change traffic conditions. We also have a COVID-19 health reminder. And as we head into the holiday season, COVID-19 levels are rising in Marin County. Let's stay vigilant, mask up, and remember to be vaccinated as well as boosted. It's the best way to keep our community safe and enjoy the holidays without disruptions. And I would also like to add that several of these items were publicized in our most recent snapshot and also being posted to the city's social media accounts. And so that wraps up our announcements. Let's all do our part to make these events successful and also to stay healthy.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager Robinson Pignon. There's a lot going on in San Rafael. We hope to see everyone out in 4th Street, North San Rafael, and East San Rafael shopping during the season. I will turn to my colleagues to report out on the meetings they've attended in the last 2 weeks, and I'll start with the Vice Mayor.
Thank you very much. I definitely plan to attend all those events. Thank you. So in my last report, I actually forgot to include our quarterly meeting for the CCAP, the Climate Change Action Plan Community Forum, and it was a great event. Our special guest was Armando Quintero, the Director of California State Parks, who gave us an update around the state of California, but also it's great to know that he's one of our residents in San Rafael, so it was great having them there. Also attended the San Rafael Chamber of Commerce leadership class. I was invited to give my path as a leader, and that was always like really fun. You know, it's a great program that the San Rafael Chamber of Commerce has, and it's really great to see some of our staff members from the city of San Rafael there. And yeah, so really happy to do that. And then on November 14th, I attended the community dinner for cleaner transportation in the Canal neighborhood. And this was a great event at Baya Vista. It was like a full house, talking about mainly public transportation and electrification, but also touching things around climate change, sea level rise, fires and wildfire, and extreme heat. So big thank you to our staff members that they were there from the city talking about sea level rise, and also to the other partners, Marine Can, MC, Canal Alliance, Sustainable San Rafael, and Cool the Earth. I think this is the first time that I have attended a meeting in the Canal talking about EVs, electrical vehicles, and chargers, which I think is really good because we don't want the canal to be behind when we start implementing all this. So it was very well attended and a very good event, bilingual. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Kurtz.
Thank you. It's been a busy 2 weeks. I attended the Veterans Day open house at Homeward Bound. Their new facility is getting close to opening in May, which is really important because it will house pretty much all of our homeless veterans. So it's a great facility. I attended the Homeless Policy Steering Committee, and I chair that with Supervisor Lucan. I was invited to attend Villa Marin for a town hall focused on emergency preparedness. And Manny Albano, thank you for sharing the update with me. That was nice. MWPA, Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority, we had our board meeting and it was a long one with the approval of the Ross Valley San Rafael fuel break. So I think I'd like to include something in the upcoming snapshot because that's going to be an ongoing project, but I think the community needs to really be aware of those changes. And basically it's all the eucalyptus, not all, and it's not clear cutting, but it's really focusing on the number of the eucalyptus up on the ridge that we see because they are so, there's such a risk of fire danger with them. We hosted our MCCMC homeless committee. And then huge thanks to San Rafael and the DEI committee and many others who worked on United Against Hate Week, which was all last week. There were over 30 of the employees participated in a training on anti-Semitism, and there'll be an upcoming training on Islamophobia that a number of people are scheduled to attend, which will be really great. Also, there was a new partnership for United Against Hate Week with Youth and Arts and the Karma Club. And there's also posters now up at, is it near Arzamendi, I think?
Yes.
Right? So
The old site.
So, which is great, those posters for the week. And then I was asked to speak at my Rotary Club, Tierra Linda Rotary, which was fun to be able to share with them about what's happening in the city. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Bushy.
I attended 3 significant meetings for the city, and in a strange twist of events, they were all on the same day. For the first time in my memory, which goes beyond a decade now, the San Rafael Sanitation District and the Central Marin Sanitation Agency met on the same day. The SRSAN, we addressed along with the mayor, we addressed our strategic plan for going forward. As some folks may not know, the sanitation district is staffed by personnel actually employed by the city, and they staff the SRSAN pursuant to a contract. We're looking at different ways of approaching that might better meet the needs of the agency going forward for the future. So we discussed that. At the Central Marin Sanitation Agency, we had several routine matters, including receiving our financial reports, much like we're receiving tonight. We got a complete clean report from our auditor. We did receive a surprising recommendation from our finance committee suggesting raising rates again. Typically, CMSA raises rates in 5-year increments, and we just did it earlier this year. So to raise rates again 1 year later would be very unusual. That matter has been set aside for further study. So you'll be hearing more about that. The most fun event of the day, though, was in between those two was the annual donor meeting of the San Rafael Public Library Foundation. And this was a big meeting because at the meeting held at the B Street Community Center, the foundation board announced their program to go forward to consider the possibility of putting a ballot measure on the ballot a year from now, November 2024, to build a new library. I highly encourage you, I wish I could send everyone this link, but the San Rafael Public Library Foundation, srplf.org. that's the website, has a video that we've prepared that lays out the reasons why a new library is needed. It's basically, we need something for, we need a 21st century library, not the lovely one that we have that is over 100 years old. So the video is great and explains the rationale behind it and the thinking that there might be efficiencies to be gained by combining a new library site with the existing site at the B Street site. So bring community services and a library together to realize some efficiencies in the new building. That website again, srplf.org. Go watch the video. It's really great. It was professionally done, and it's very compelling. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just close out the reports. I'm always honored that I get to attend many ribbon cuttings. We have a lot going on in our community. One, and the vice mayor attended with me, was the postpartum support center. Not saying that well. And the IJ actually had a great article, and it offers support to women who have depression after they've had their babies. And there's actually a little gap in our medical safety net. And so they've gotten some fabulous funding from local medical providers. It was great ribbon cutting, and it's open not just to San Rafael, but to all Marin residents and moms that need that. And it's a free service, and they offer free diapers. So it's very, very comprehensive. Another ribbon cutting, Tam Commons. Yes, Tam Commons has been around for a couple of years, but there's a new owner there. So check it out. They've updated the menu. The beer's still good on tap if you're into that. So that was fantastic. That was a couple of weeks ago. And then I had a hard hat tour for the Vivalon Healthy Aging Campus, and that's on 3rd Street. We've all been watching it go up. Even though it's a hard hat tour, residents are moving in. That's over 65, it's about 65 units for low-income seniors. That will be brand new units being brought into our community. Of those, 10 of them will be for unhoused individuals. The grand opening, when it's officially opening, will be in January. And then finally, I attended SMART, the Sonoma Marin Area Rapid Transit. We had quite a long meeting, and there were some big items. I'll just mention the big ones. There was a groundbreaking of the Petaluma North Station in early November. You might have seen pictures of that. In terms of ridership, SMART continues to be one of the only transit agencies in the Bay Area that is continuing to recover. October ridership was 16% over what it was in 2019. So again, continuing to trend up. And then finally, we received the approval of funding for the Windsor Extension and Station, and that was part of the original ballot measure. The reason that is being made possible is the state is funding $40 million of this, which is what enabled it to go forward. The next step will take place in spring of 2025. It'll be completed and the trains will be rolling. So always something to look forward to at SMART. So thank you as always to my colleagues for what you do between these meetings. You're out and about in the community. I will accept public comment on the assistant city manager or council member reports. So anyone in the chambers like to comment on these items? Not seeing anyone, I will close the public comment and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that my colleagues would like to hold from the consent agenda? Okay, not seeing any, I will open it up for public comment on the consent calendar. Looking to the chambers. Not seeing anyone, I would request a motion on this item, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Deputy City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushy.
Aye.
Councilmember Kurtz.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Yorns Galati.
Aye.
Mayor Kate.
Aye, that motion carries 4-0. Thank you. So our agenda this evening, it's one, but it's mighty and important. And I am delighted that our finance director is joining us. We have the year-end audited financial statements and related audit reports. Oh, okay. Welcome. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Mayor Kate, members of the council. As noted, this agenda item is for the council to formally receive what is currently still the draft of the city's annual comprehensive financial report, along with the audit report and several required communications as well as report conducted on the city's child care program. You have in your packet the draft ACFR, as it's known, and all of the communication. I'm joined by Whitney Crockett, who is the audit partner with Mays and Associates, whose firm conducts the audit. And I'm going to run the technology and hand it to her for the presentation, and then we'll be available to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Welcome, Whitney. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you all too.
Go full screen, perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One more button. There you go.
Perfect.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Brenna.
Good evening, everyone. As Paul mentioned, my name is Whitney Crockett, and I'm an audit partner with Mays and Associates. And I'll be going over our audit results for fiscal year 2023. Okay, so first, we're an independent CPA firm. So that means that we're independent from the city and its component unit, which is San Rafael Sanitation District. I'm also the audit partner for San Rafael Sanitation District, but that is a separate audit engagement from the city. So usually that gets issued prior to the city's financials, and then we incorporate everything into the city's ACFR. Our audit was conducted in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States of America. Okay, so in terms of our audit scope, we audit the city. So that would be the annual comprehensive financial report, the big one. And then we also audit the child development program. And then we also complete a single audit, which is typically done in December with an issuance date of March 2024. That's due to the federal clearinghouse in March. So we'll start field work, I think, in 2 weeks from now for the single audit. We also report on the GAN limit agreed upon procedures, which is just a small report to recalculate the GAN limit. And also, I just want to preface that for the GAN limit, that is a fiscal year 23-24 agreed upon procedures and not fiscal year 23. Every city is different, but that's a year ahead because of the budget adoption process. It gets done during the adoption of the fiscal year 24 budget, so it happens prior to the year starting. Okay, so results of the audit. Our independent auditors report is in page 1 of the annual comprehensive financial report. The city received an unmodified or clean opinion, and that is the highest level of assurance that we can give to the city. There is also an emphasis of a matter in the opinion for a change in accounting principles. So this year, the city was required to implement GASB 96, governmental accounting standard, and that is called subscription-based information technology arrangements. So what it did for the city is basically city staff had to do an inventory of all subscriptions that are information technology related and determine and go through all of them to see which ones applied under the statement and then capitalize or record them under the standard. So in the financials, you'll see now a subscription asset, which is considered to be an intangible asset. And then it's offset with a subscription liability. So it's just kind of a disclosure item. It doesn't affect net position. So it's GASB. So management's discussion and analysis is on page 5 of the report. And this kind of provides you with a synopsis of what happened during the year. That's prepared by finance staff and discusses significant activity for the fiscal year and kind of guides the reader into the report, by referencing the pages that apply for those different balances. And then another document as part of your packet is the memorandum on internal control. So that is where we would report any internal control issues that we noted during our audit. So there's 3 possible categories for comments. Material weakness is the most severe. And then significant deficiency is those that we noted that should be corrected. And then other matters are more of exceptions that are kind of like more housekeeping type of items. So for fiscal year 23, the city had one significant deficiency, and this is a repeat item from fiscal year 22 that we talked about last year as well. And that was in regards to inaccurate building permit fees. So when we tested this a couple years ago, there were a few errors that we noted in some of the receipts calculation to the master fee schedule. And then we also noted that what was posted on the city's website at that time for the fee schedule didn't match the approved resolution with the master fee schedule. So it's more of, making sure that it's updated. So because the city adopted the new master fee schedule to be effective July 2023, we weren't able to verify that it's been corrected, but city staff have told us that it has. It's just because of our engagement doesn't cover July 2023, since it's after fiscal year end, we haven't been able to test it. So our plan for fiscal year 2024's audit is to go back and test it, make sure that it's posted correctly and everything. But yeah, my understanding is it is corrected. And then we did have one other matter, and this is another repeated item from fiscal year 2022. And this has to do with purchasing policy compliance. So basically what we noted is there were some inconsistencies in our testing of purchasing procedures and the purchasing policy excerpts. And so our recommendation was for the city to either be consistent in practices in accordance with the policy, or to clarify the policy to make sure that it incorporates what is actually being done. And so I think during our fiscal year 2023 audit, we noted the city hasn't done the revised purchasing policy to clarify those. However, it sounds like, based on management's response, which I'll read, it sounds like the city is planning to. So management concurs with the need to update the city's purchasing policy and procedures to ensure appropriate level of internal controls, compliance with policy requirements, and alignment with best practices. And this effort has been hampered by staff turnover, vacancies in key positions, and competing priorities. Current management has prioritized review of purchasing and contract administration protocols to include updating policies, documentation of procedures, staff training, and better utilization of the city's financial ERP system to monitor approvals, activity, and compliance. So we'll follow up on that during our audit next year to see where the city is at with that process. And then the other matters in there are upcoming GASB pronouncements, so not super exciting. Nothing in the pipeline in the next 3 years that I think will be significant to the city, but it's in there. Okay, now the required communications, that's a separate document. And basically we're required to make these communications to you. And in there, you'll see that there's no changes in accounting policies outside of the implementation of GASB 96. And then there's no unusual transactions to bring to your attention. There are significant accounting estimates that we outline in there just to highlight the fact that those balances are estimates. So for example, like the pension liability or the OPEB liability, those are some of them, the more sensitive ones that we add in there. And then also we have in there that there were no disagreements with management during the audit, and there were no material adjustments or uncorrected misstatements to report. So that's for, the overall city audit results. And then the GAN limit, agreed upon procedures report, that's a little 2-page report in the back of your packet, I think. And basically what that is we recalculate the city's GAN limit using the Department of Finance state worksheets or DOF letters for the limit, and then using prior year data. And we had one exception, and it wasn't for the limit itself because we agreed that calculation. It was just that the resolution verbiage had a little bit of a difference in that the city's practice is to use the larger adjustment factor of change in assessment role for non-residential construction of Marin County. And in the reso, it didn't say that, but the way it was done was correct, if that makes sense. It's just like a verbiage thing. Okay, so childcare audit. So we have a separate opinion for the childcare audit, and that's also unmodified. That's the cleanest opinion that the childcare program can get. And then that also includes our independent auditor's report on compliance, which is basically ensuring that, the childcare program is materially in compliance with the, state contract and those requirements. So no current year findings on that. So clean bill. Any questions on the audit?
I'll see if there are any questions. Oh, yes, Councilmember Bushy, go ahead.
Not so much on the audit, but on the financial highlights. I always zero in on the net position and you've made that a highlight. And it sounds very good. So could you give and perhaps Paul can give some perspective as well on the net position of the city seems to be very positive.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, thank you for that question. I'll take a quick stab at it. I'll just preface it by saying there's a lot that goes into the roll-up of the government-wide financial statements, but as noted in the staff report and in our MD&A, other than generally positive financial performance across all of our operating funds, the main contributors to the increase in the net position on a government-wide basis has to do with improvements in our pension liability, because the assets and earnings in the sort of pension portfolio had an improved, that liability has such a weight on the net position that when that is improved, largely as a result of investments and market improvements in the pension fund, that helps, as well as capitalization of assets with the completion of major capital improvement projects. So our fixed assets, as recorded on the balance sheet, contribute to the increase in net position.
Very good. Thank you. It sounds like it's a positive. There's a good reason for it, and we should be confident in the financial reporting as well as the financial actions that are occurring.
I would agree with that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Councilmember Kurtz.
I was wondering if you could provide, and thank you for the report. It's great to have a clean report. I was wondering if you could provide a little bit more direction on the purchasing procedures. If that's looking at, is it within one department? Is it trying to centralize? Does each department today have, it's really common, right? Many departments have different purchasing procedures. Is the recommendation to centralize and have it all be standardized?
So the recommendation, that's a good question. So the city's purchasing system is decentralized. So each department kind of, I don't want to I'm just going to generalize, but in our testing, we saw inconsistencies between departments in the way it was interpreted. And so our recommendation was more so to either centralize the purchasing procedures. So that way, it's going through the same channel, or revise the policy for the current practices to specify what is going on and what's, best for the city. Does that help? Provide some.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, go.
Yeah, just add to that. I was also going to note that we have an environment of a decentralized purchasing, but we do have a purchasing policy and ordinance that everybody, for the most part, follows. But there's areas that are either not addressed or kind of vague. Things like, when is a purchase order required, right? At what dollar threshold? There's some inconsistencies that we've already cleaned up relative to delegated spending authority across different departments. So this is an area, as we noted, of focus. City manager has highlighted this. It was an issue last year. There were some efforts to address it, but we are making a concerted effort. We also will note that we'll probably be before the council before too long with a recommendation to transition to a new financial system. But this is something that we kind of want to address before that, so that when we set up a new financial system, we're already building in the procedures, internal controls, and workflow to ensure consistency and compliance with purchasing policies. And
yeah, thank you. I thought you had mentioned potential of getting a new ERP. which is a big price tag, yeah, just to go through and think
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Okay.
But we're not going to wait for the new ERP to
For
address
the
this
process,
issue.
right? Exactly. Great. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? So I just had one around the parking fund as it works. If I recall, I think a year ago, the numbers looked a little different because of the impact of COVID and our parking revenue. So could you just speak to why that has changed? Because I know that we had some concerns not that long ago that was an underfunded fund.
Yeah, I'll give you the sort of short version
Yes,
and
short
also
version sort of.
have staff that can assist any more detail. But as you noted, during the whole COVID, this is the one enterprise business type activity for the city. Basically the parking garages and the parking meter revenue, parking enforcement. So both with the activity related to COVID and also a little bit of a less enforcement. I mean, during the whole COVID period, revenues fell more so than the expenses to support the program. So there was a fund balance in the fund, but it was we spent into fund balance. So what we see in the fiscal year ended 22-23 is what we hope and believe is the beginning of sort of turning it around, where the operations of the city's parking program is maybe not completely there, but approaching kind of getting back to pre-COVID in terms of the activity and the revenues that are supporting the fund.
And doesn't the fund also support any upgrades or repairs that we're doing to our parking structure? So that was the other thing that we were concerned about, is that gets drawn down. We're eating into the fund, as it were. It defers maintenance even longer. So I'm hearing you say it's starting to get to where it needs to be, but probably, I don't know how much it ate into the deferred maintenance, as it were.
Yeah, I know that there's anecdotally some work being done, but in terms of sort of the overall plan, I can't speak to that. But yes, one of the things that typically falls by the wayside when we're in that period is some of the deferred maintenance. So as the parking fund reestablishes a robust reserve and a fund balance, then city would be in a better position to address some of those needs.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Not seeing any, but we might have some from the community. So I will turn to public comment. If anyone in the chambers would like to comment or have questions on this item, now is your moment. Come on down.
Albateri, Gersel Park. Thank you for letting me ask some questions. Finance always confuses me, so forgive me if these questions are off base. I'm hearing two things. One is an audit that basically looks at the work the council has done or the staff has done and says you followed the procedures that are recommended by whatever agencies control that, and you're doing well. There's a few items that came up that may need some attention. My question is, am I saying that correctly? Understanding that properly? The other one is, when I look at these reports, I ask myself, does the city have enough money to operate? Are they going to be able to do the things that they promised, would like to do, and or make advances in the services that are provided to the residents with the money that is available to them? So that's the second question. And again, I'm not familiar with reading financial reports. I haven't done it for a while. So if there's an easy way to answer that question, I would appreciate it. A third question is, at the last time a quarterly report, financial report was presented, there was one item that came up that had to do with the sales tax revenue that was contributed by online transactions. And it seemed like that was a new thing the city was benefiting from, but it wasn't quite clear as to how much would be contributed to the city from that. And it looked like it came from the county, and there's a delay, I'm sure, in that. So I'm wondering if that is included in the accounting that's being presented this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. We'll see if there's any other comments or questions. Not seeing any, I'll close the public comment, and I think you got those 3 questions outlined so beautifully. So I'll turn it over to you, Director DeVazio.
Thank you. I'll try to take them and then help if you can. So I would just say that in terms of the audit, my view is that the independent audit is less of a audit of the financial condition and how the city is doing, as it is an audit that tells us that the financial statements as presented in all material respects accurately reflects the revenues, expenses, assets, and liabilities for the period audit. So the compliances that we're reporting it correctly. It's a little different question in terms of the overall financial position of the city and its ability to meet its obligations, as well as the expectations of the community for services. I would say that, as was noted earlier, the city is in a relatively good financial position. The challenge continues to be that the sort of demands and expectations will often exceed the resources. So there's a constant prioritization of it. There's also some limits, as the council is aware, and we presented in September with some staff capacity with turnover and vacancies. But as I think in terms of the promises or the expectations that the community has, both from the council goals and strategic priorities, the annual budget that's put together, and the capital plan, for the most part, funding is available and in place to implement those. It just takes time and staff to do those. So I can't think of too many, budgeted initiatives or funded initiatives that this report tells us that we should be concerned about. But that doesn't mean that there aren't needs that exceed the city's ability to do that. The last question. It had to do with the impact of e-commerce and internet transactions on our sales tax. This is an area that honestly we're getting back caught up again on, but there was some changes in both legislation and how the state is handling sales tax for e-commerce transactions. It wasn't too long ago that all of those were exempt from sales tax, which sort of gave some argue an unfair advantage to the online merchants relative to our dear brick and mortar establishments in town. So there's been a series of legislation on a statewide basis on that, so that I would say for the most part, internet transactions are now subject to sales tax, and they pay sales tax. However, whereas your sales tax is generally allocated based on point of sale, it's always an interesting question about what's the point of sale for a transaction that doesn't have a location. So to your point, you're correct that the majority of the sales tax from the Amazons and the other online retailers goes through the county pool, and then is allocated to jurisdictions based on our relative proportion share of the actual sales tax, not necessarily the direct sales tax from those transactions. I think I heard in the question what the impact was, and I'd like to get back to you. We just had our sales tax consultant give us our update, but I don't want to quote a number of how much that is without checking our notes on that. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, no, it does.
No.
Thank you. Whitney didn't want, okay, yeah, no, I thought that, yeah, no, it was, he did. So I'll bring it back to the council for any additional comments. I did want to highlight while I wait for their comments and any motion, that also in the report was their certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. I don't think they just give those out to anybody. So maybe you could speak to that, Whitney, and then
Yeah. Nope, they don't just give it out to anyone. So you do have to apply. So the city has applied, as far as I know, at least 15 years. I don't know beyond that. But it is an annual application that the city has to file to GFOA, which is Government Finance Officers Association. and they nitpick the report and, look at it, make sure it's in accordance with GASB, and they have it's a big checklist like this thick if you print it out, of things that have to be adhered to in the report. And if the city passes, they get the award. And then if there's some areas for improvement, they provide those in the package. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just add two quick comments. I would note that the way it works is the certificate is the award from last year's ACFR, because we will be
Okay.
presumably resubmitting this report for reconsideration. And as Whitney said, yeah, it's a rigorous checklist. We actually get a lot of good comments and feedback. And so there are some changes that we do year to year in the report based on the feedback from the GFOA. And this is just probably a great opportunity for me to also recognize Sean Plate, our finance manager, and his staff. He does the lion's share of the work throughout the year, but also at year end and in preparation of this document. So both the results of the audit and the favorable report from the GFOA are largely to the credit of Sean and his staff. So I'd like to note that.
Thank you, Sean, for all that you do and the team, because when you just said it's something this thick, when you say the government said, we all believe you that it's this thick. So congratulations on that. I will now turn it to my colleagues for any additional comments or a motion.
Yeah, well, just a comment, like really appreciations for all the work. And it's always great when we have like an independent auditor verify that everything we have done is actually done properly. So congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Bushy, any comments? Councilmember Kurtz.
No,
comment
I'm
and a
happy
motion?
to make a motion. Make a motion to accept the fiscal year 2022-2023 annual comprehensive financial report, memorandum on internal control, report of required communications, child development program financial report, and GAN appropriations limit report.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushy.
Aye.
Councilmember Kurtz.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Yorns Galati.
Aye.
Mayor Kate.
Aye, that motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Whitney, for all your work. Director Navazio, Sean, it's great to have a clean audit. So, so thank you. Thank you. Next on our agenda before we close the meeting is open time for public expression. So if anyone would like to, oh, Salama had left me a card. So Salama, I can't see you. You're behind the, there you are. I was like, did she leave? Come on down. Or come on up or.
Which way?
And maybe pull the microphone down, Salama. It looks pretty tall. There you go. Okay. Oh, that's okay.
I feel like I have to step back, but is that right? Oh, step forward. Okay. Okay. Mayor Kate and council members. I wanted to share some changes with the meetings and location of the Commission on Aging's general meeting. We're now meeting at the Marin Wildfire Protection Authority boardroom. Anyway, 1600 Los Gamos on the third floor is the easiest way to say that. And our meeting times have changed from Thursday to the second Monday. And the time has changed from in the morning to 1:30 to 4 p.m. So our next meeting will be December the 11th, as I said, 1:30 to 4 p.m. and 4 p.m. And the topic will be changing the affordable housing landscape in the Bay Area, how a new bond measure can help older adults. And our speaker will be Irene Farnsworth, Anti-Displacement Program Coordinator of the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority. And then in the last minute, I would like to talk about something else. And that is to say that this weekend I had an opportunity to visit neighbors in a different part of San Rafael. And as I am a member of the FAST team, Financial Abuse Specialist team, and passing out some anti-scam information, as well as some ACLU Know Your Rights, police interactions for Black and Brown people. And I was educated by just this finding, these documents that we sent out, as well as pocket cards for individuals. If there were some people that said that ISIS they just opened their door and went into their house and so forth. So these cards were protective cards about it. But what I learned was, if a police officer stops you, don't forget that the police are legally allowed to lie, intimidate, and bluff. I was shocked to hear that. Also, if you're stopped in your car, you can say, I do not consent to a search. And those were important things, I think, to say to Black and Brown folks who we know have a tendency to maybe resist or run away. So this document was just packed with information that I thought was very helpful. But in addition,
you could wrap up. Thank you, Salama. That's okay. Go ahead and wrap
one
up. Finish your
sentence.
thought. Of course.
Okay, but
Yeah,
the
finish your
one
thought.
sentence is not going to get it all. But for the integrity of our pending accountability committee, in order for that there be good integrity and validity, I am asking that on the next agenda, that there be an item that indicates that we need to increase the number to 9 with 2 alternates because of the reports that I got at this meeting of the interactions, and maybe I need to talk about it offline. Because one, there's nobody that is presently on the committee that has had a negative interaction. So that's a violation of our validity and integrity, I feel. And also there's no one a voting opportunity from District 4. So I think we can talk about this offline,
Yep,
but
let's do that.
okay. Thank you
yes,
so much.
And with the city clerk, because I know that she had also worked hard on some of that. So
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Salama.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the chambers have anything they'd like to share? Come on down.
A long list of things here,
Read them quick.
but I can't see any of them. The Alvateri Gersel Park, I just want to share a positive experience I had on Sunday that started off a little rough. It was around 6:30 in the morning, and I was pleasantly awakened by the loud sounds of a large vehicle, a 12-ton tractor rolling down D Street because there was a bursted pipe along that street, and they were fixing it. So that was a happy news. Trying to get a status, I called the Marin Municipal Water District, and their phone tree was excellent. I pressed a few buttons. I got somebody on the phone, and they gave me a status. I felt happy about that, and off I went. So that was kind of nice. A little positive thing.
Deputy
about
City
this.
Clerk, if you can have the timer go.
I didn't. What?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. And then, but at the same time, now that we've established the city has a lot of money, maybe they could fix some of the pipes along D Street and other streets that require it. Because when I did speak to the attendant at the Marin Municipal, they did agree that there were some city streets that had piping that were breaking more frequently than they liked. So it would be nice to have those fixed, my suggestion. This is something that I heard, and I assume is true. I'm getting a third hand, but it was a little frightening. It was about a person in the West End that was accosted and attacked with a metal pipe trying to steal their bicycle. This frightened me because I didn't think that was possible in Marin. So I just I hope we're doing something about that, because it seems unacceptable to have that kind of activity in our town. And the third thing is, a few months ago, probably 6, 7, 8 months ago, you started the FAST program, and there was a promise to have an update given to the council of how they're doing, how effective they are as a group, and whether or not they're achieving the results that they promised at the time. And I haven't seen that. So maybe you received a report in print and it hasn't been published, or it's something that needs to be done in this meeting. If it needs to be done, I'm asking that it does get done here. And the last one had to do more with Tiburon. And there was again, there's something called pugging, another frightening development in the environment, where somebody would follow somebody after they've gone to an ATM and accost them in their home and rob them of their money. And this happened in Tiburon at gunpoint. Those people were caught rather quickly. And I'm wondering if that's a testament to the effectiveness of the LPRs that exist in Tiburon that allowed the police to see that individual coming and going and tracking them down that same evening. So if that is a feature of the LPRs that are being installed in San Rafael, I'll applaud that very actively.
Mr. Bitar, if you could do the last item on your list. Your time is up.
Yeah, I got a long list.
You got a long list. Okay. Feel free to email it to me.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the chambers? Open time, public expression. Sure, come on down, sir.
Hi, I'm Joe Mulligan, a homeowner in Glenwood of 2 years this week, and a member of Walk Bike San Rafael, a safety advocacy group. The last Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting was on October 4th of this year, and since December's BPAC meeting was canceled, there's 4 months of no real platform for the public to express their opinions on safety until February of 2024. I know the city promises commitment to ongoing, broad, inclusive community input that's instrumental to having a bike ped master plan that we can all support, but 4 months without input is too long, and safety advocates don't want gaps like that this year or next.
Thank you, and thank you for your email as well. We all received it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I think we've gotten everyone. So again, thank you for coming down and providing public comment. We don't have any successor agency. Tonight, I will be adjourning the meeting in memory of Jed Green. Jed passed away unexpectedly a few weeks ago, and those of us who knew him are deeply shocked and saddened. Jed was the treasurer of the Business Improvement District and participated in many conversations that the BID, the chamber, and the city had over the last few years as we worked together to change the reporting structure. Jed had many fans, and one is Joanne Webster, the former director of the San Rafael Chamber. She said I could share her words about Jed with you all. She said, Jed was a very smart, kind, funny, and always smiling man. They had a love of mountain biking and craft beers in common, but what they really bonded over was a shared dedication and passion about downtown San Rafael. Jed chose to serve so that he could make a difference in the community that he cared so much about. He was a huge part of the San Rafael downtown business family, and he gave us his time and he lent us his expertise so we could reimagine downtown and move forward together. Sorry. I apologize. Councilmember Hill also worked closely with Jed.
Councilmember Hill also worked closely with Jed and had these words to say. Jed brought love, talent, and vitality to our community through his leadership. I hope to honor his memory by continuing to help bring about a vibrant downtown. His spirit endures in us and in the city of San Rafael. And now I will close by saying, in addition to being an important part of our business community, Jed was also a father and a husband. May his memory be a blessing for those who knew him. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.